So how we attack player development and practice, I thought it was really cool that Jimmy Mullen talked about some of those, that gamification and compete at the start of practice. Ultimately, I think that comes back to my number one thing, and I should have put it at the top, is that it's got to be fun. We practiced over 80 times last year as a group, and we played 31 games, right? So 3-to-1 practice to game ratio. And so ultimately, like, practice has to be fun. If you want to retain those kids in a small program, if you want them to come back and really enjoy being a part of it, when they're doing it 3 times more than games are always going to be fun, right? It has to be an enjoyable and fun experience, while also having that balance of competitiveness and working through things that you need to as a group. We leaned into skill development. It was during COVID at Prodero Hockey, Chris Dodero at AIC, that you just started messing around and putting skill drills up, and I kind of got down that rabbit hole. I think it's a hard balance, and those are 4 that I really, really like. Somebody talked about it yesterday, when you feel like you've got 40 different things out on the ice. I don't know if that's necessarily beneficial skill development, but the presentation that we saw this morning was perfect. You're working on one thing, right? Like 1 or 2 things. They're simple drills. If a drill takes over 30 seconds to watch on YouTube or Instagram or wherever you're getting it, and you're like, what just happened? It's probably not a very good skill drill, right? It's not breaking it down into the 1 thing or 2 things that you want to work on that have practical game applications. And you've all seen those, right? Where the Instagram coach, I'm putting pucks between their feet, jumping over things, doing all that. I don't know if that has a practical application. So we try to find things and vet things, and I have the kids send it to me, and I think that ultimately increases buy-in. Like, here's something I saw. Could we do this during our forward D split today? Can we do this during our skill rotation on Monday? And I thought that increased buy-in. I think they had a lot of fun with that. And I think as a group over the last 3 years, we really improved in our skill, largely due to this. Because at the end of the day, right, whatever system you want to throw in, if they can't skate, if they can't handle a puck, if they can't pass, that's not really going to work, right? Then they can just get in people's way with your systems, but that's not going to lead to long-term success. And then systems work as well. That goes back to that attention span piece of where kids can't, if you're sitting out there talking for 3 or 4 minutes about everything that you're doing, I'd rather focus in on certain habits that I want to do and create a drill that gamifies that system work and the habits that I want to see. So when Nick Hansen, our goalie, went down, we had a low point in the season. We were playing our 3rd, 4th string goalie, and we struggled. And what we came to the realization of is that we had become in our D zone really reliant on him, right? And him to bail us out, and him to pick up on some bad habits that we had. And so we came up with a D zone drill with no goalie. We just took 2 divider pads, stacked them up on the bottom so you just couldn't pass it or tuck it into the net that way. And we had him do D zone. If you got out of position, it was 10 push-ups. If the other team scored, it was 10 push-ups. And the compete was awesome. And you want to talk about having to play as a connected group and play on top of pucks and eliminate time and space and do things the right way. If there's no goalie, you really have to. And in reality, they don't score that much if you do it right. You'd think that you could just turn around, but you can take away time and space, and it makes things extremely difficult. Any of our special teams work too outside of the dry runs, we make it a competition. We set an over-under, PK versus PP. All the guys get the PK, and our power play groups go against them. The compete's great. And whether that's losers, skating, push-ups, whatever, creating some incentive with that ups the compete, and they get ticked at each other, but it makes it fun. I'd rather scale the compete back than try to yell it into them. And so I think that way really does it. We don't bag skate. If we're going to do conditioning, we're going to gamify it. It's going to be some sort of puck race, some sort of relay, right? Something that allows them to condition within something that's actually improving them as a hockey player, right? And so I thought that's been really beneficial. And then small area games. We leaned into that. Every day we end with some sort of small area game that focuses on some habit that we want to reinforce, that we want our guys to get better at. And I like that it's at the end, though, it's got to be fun, right? So whatever it is, they got to come back. And when I hear guys say that they don't like football practice, they don't like baseball practice, but hockey practice is really fun. Like that, to me, that's a huge win. That means that 75% of the time when we're together, right, which is practice for us, they're having fun. And so wherever their position is and role is on the team, they're having fun at the very least 75% of the time. And that's only going to trickle over into the fun that they're going to have in the game.